Taylor Lautner hates the Twilight movies. Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about how Taylor Lautner hates the Twilight movies. Let's get right into it. Back on October 5th, 2005, Stephenie Meyer penned down the first book of what would become one of the most popular vampire stories since Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the Twilight Saga. Over the next 3 years, Meyer kept fans hooked with 3 more gripping sequels, all of which eventually made their way to the big screen. But she didn't stop there. Meyer wrote 3 more books set in this captivating universe. Like many young adult novels back then, Twilight told the story of a pretty average girl who managed to win over not 1 but 2 love-struck guys. When Twilight was turned into a movie, Taylor Lautner landed the role of Jacob Black, a shape-shifting werewolf who considers himself the personal guardian of Bella Swan, played by Kristen Stewart. Lautner's character constantly clashed with Bella's vampire beau, Edward Cullen, played by Robert Pattinson. This role was a big deal for Lautner. Before Twilight, he was best known for his part as Shark Boy in the 2005 movie The Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl. Even before that, he had a role in Cheaper by the Dozen 2 back in 2003. In Shark Boy and Lava Girl, Lautner showed off his musical talent at just 13 years old, with a number that fans fondly call the Dream Song. This song helped make the family adventure movie a firm favourite among many. When the first Twilight movie hit the screens, it was a blockbuster. With Lautner in one of the lead roles, it's no surprise he made a pretty penny. The film raked in over $400 million at the box office, which was only the start of the Twilight success story. The final movie, Breaking Dawn Part 2, knocked it out of the park with almost $830 million, ending the series on a seriously high note. But even with all this success, it turns out that Lautner earned less than his 2 co-stars. This might not be a shock, considering he didn't get as much screen time as his vampire rivals. Despite this, his performances left an indelible mark on the Twilight universe. When it comes to screen time throughout the Twilight series, Kristen Stewart, who played Bella, tops the list with about 8 hours and 41 minutes. Robert Pattinson, who starred as Edward, comes in second with a total of 6 hours and 35 minutes. Taylor Lautner, who portrayed Jacob, clocked in at around 3 hours and 32 minutes. Despite having less screen time, Lautner still made it to the top 3, ahead of Peter Facinelli, who played Carlisle Cullen and had a screen presence of 2 hours and 45 minutes. Despite the less screen time, Lautner raked in a cool $45 million from playing his memorable character over 4 years. According to the South China Morning Post, the top earner from the franchise was Kristen Stewart, who bagged over $60 million. Although the cast of Twilight may not have been the tightest-knit group in Hollywood, Lautner has maintained a strong connection with his co-stars. He's particularly close with Kristen Stewart and hangs out with Robert Pattinson from time to time, despite a minor incident involving his fiancée on an airplane. Nikki Reed, who played Rosalie Hale, even congratulated him on his engagement in November 2021. If COVID-19 restrictions allow, the couple is planning a big wedding, which could turn out to be the Twilight reunion fans have been dreaming of for over a decade. Although he appears to be on friendly terms with his former castmates, that doesn't mean Lautner necessarily loved his time on set. While Pattinson is known to poke fun at Twilight whenever he gets a chance, Lautner has been more quiet about his experience. Since his role in the 2016 film Run the Tide, Lautner has stepped back from the spotlight, not sharing much about his feelings towards the Twilight franchise until recently. Earlier this year, in a chat with Teen Vogue, Lautner confessed that the intense fame that came with Twilight was quite overwhelming. He shared how being constantly hounded by paparazzi and adoring fans during his teenage years caused him to grapple with anxiety. Despite the challenges, Lautner remains thankful for the success the movies brought him. Twilight indeed set the stage for Lautner, giving him the perfect springboard to continue his career or take a step back, all while being remembered as an icon. He once shared with Collider that filming the imprinting scene in the series was particularly challenging, as it required him to explore a completely new emotional territory that existed only in the script, but in the end, he succeeded in crafting something truly remarkable. Lautner took a pretty long break from the hustle and bustle of Hollywood. Some folks believe his career took a hit after his role as Nathan Harper in the 2011 movie Abduction, while others think it was a string of not-so-successful movies that led him to step back. He didn't make any big announcements about leaving Hollywood for good, so fans were left guessing and hoping for his next movie. Then, on January 28th of the previous year, Netflix rolled out a movie called Home Team, which featured both Kevin James and Taylor Lautner. The movie was based on the true story of Sean Payton, the head coach of the New Orleans Saints football team, and his journey after being suspended in 2012. This was Lautner's first time back on the big screen after nearly 7 years, and the reactions were pretty mixed. While the overall ratings weren't spectacular, we can't forget that Lautner has a knack for being part of movies that end up gaining a cult following. Regardless of how fast or slow Lautner decides to dive back into the world of film, there's no doubt that fans all over the globe are eager to cheer him on. The same people who fell for him as Jacob Black in Twilight, Nathan Harper in Abduction, and Shark Boy in The Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl are ready to support him once again. That's all for today, and we'll be sure to catch you all in the next one.